The craziest cycle that I probably did was that stupid coach back in the days also who put me on 100 milligrams of prop and 100 milligrams of tren every day. So that adds up like 700. Yeah.
Damn.
That was a sick cycle, man. Yeah, I got.
What's going on YouTube? It's Jason, and today we're going to be speaking about Jo Lindner, aka Joesthetics, who sadly passed away Saturday morning. Now, for those of you who don't know who Jo was, he was an absolute giant in the fitness industry. Like, everything any fitness entrepreneur could set out to do, he did it by the age of 30. He was open, transparent, entertaining, and he was very humble. I met him while I was out in Dubai, genuinely had time for people, willing to take photos and talk to anyone. He was just an all-round lovable guy. Now, there's been loads of speculation about Jo's death, which I'll address in a bit, but I want to start by addressing the facts. What do we know? Fact number one, Jo passed away from an aneurysm. An aneurysm happens when there's a bulge in a blood vessel because part of the artery wall gets weak. Now, we don't yet know where this aneurysm took place, but it sounds like it was somewhere between his neck and his brain. So what do we know about aneurysms? Number one, an aneurysm can literally happen to anyone. Whether you have an underlying condition or not, anybody can suffer an aneurysm. Number two, they happen most often to people between the ages of 30 to 60. And number three, they can be hereditary. So on the face of it, there was nothing suspicious about Jo's death. Jo was 30 years old, which is a common age for those that suffer aneurysms, and his aunt actually suffered from an aneurysm 4 years ago, as confirmed by his girlfriend. So they're the facts. Let's go on to the armchair doctors and medics in the fitness industry that are throwing in their 2 pence. So there are loads of reasons coming out as to the potential cause of death, but there are 2 main reasons coming out from 2 groups of people that are polarizing people. The first is the natural anti-steroid brigade. Now, these people are adamant that Jo died because of steroid use. Now, one thing I respect so much about Jo is Jo was very open about his steroid use. He used to speak about how much he took and the specific compounds he took. He didn't hide anything.
The craziest cycle that I probably did was that stupid coach back in the days also who put me on 100 milligrams of prop and 100 milligrams of tren every day. So
Every
that adds
day?
up like 700. Yeah.
Damn.
That was a sick cycle, man. Yeah, I got.
Now, going back to the facts, an aneurysm can happen to anybody without an underlying health condition. So if Jo wasn't taking steroids, in theory, this could have still happened to him. And the second question I'd ask to those people that are adamant that he only died because of steroid use is that Jo has been taking steroids for a very long time, a large dose of steroids. So if this aneurysm happened because of steroids, it should have happened a long time ago. So from the evidence, you can't solely blame gear. But there is another school of thought, and this is coming from enhanced bodybuilders, who are all trying to look for any other reason outside steroid use as to why Jo died. To the extent that drugged up bodybuilders are blaming the fact that he had a 4th COVID jab as to the reason he may have died.
This is about many hundreds of thousands, millions of people's lives who have taken that thing.
Now, I'm not going to get into the politics, but if you are an enhanced bodybuilder and you are willing to pump your body with all sorts of compounds, a thoroughly researched, scientifically backed COVID vaccine should be the least of your worries. Sorry, I just have no time for that. It's giving hypocritical vibes. If you're going to be that scared about what goes into your body, then keep the same energy and throw the steroids in there as well. Now, although we can rule out steroids as the only cause of death because of how Jo died, can we rule out the potential that they contributed? Now, this is where I would have to raise an eyebrow. A lot of the people that are saying it could not be steroids because it was an aneurysm are on steroids, so they've got a hidden agenda. If you look into the risk factors of taking steroids, 2 of the risks are a high blood pressure and a thickening of the blood. And these things can lead to an aneurysm. Just to be clear, although I don't take steroids myself, I'm not against steroid usage. My biggest issue with steroids are the abuse and when it's used in competition. If you're taking it safely under medical supervision, then you're an adult. People smoke and do all sorts. I'm not going to sit here and get on my soapbox and go, oh, you take steroids, I'm so against you. I couldn't really care less. So when I give my opinion, I'm not one of these biased natural trainees that hate steroid users. So can we say that Jo died because of steroids? No. but can we 100% say that steroid usage over time hasn't contributed to some degree? We're not in a position to say no either. We just don't know. I think the underlying thing and the main reason I did this video was not to sit here and gossip about how Joe died, but ultimately, what can we learn from his death? And I think the first thing to point out is that steroids come with a risk. I think people, especially younger, more impressionable men, need to really be aware of the dangers and the risk of steroids. Often when people take steroids, they just look at this physique that is muscular and lean and just think, oh, if I take a small bit, it won't really harm me. But the reality is you don't really know what goes on underneath the skin. So me personally, I don't take steroids and I would never recommend them for anybody. But at the same time, I'm not your dad. There are always going to be people out there that take steroids. I just think we need to make the risks a lot more apparent. As I said, one thing I cannot fault Joe for, and I really respect him for, is he spoke about steroids, and when things went wrong with his health because of steroids, he was really open about it. And to be honest, we need to see more of that. More young people need to be aware of the risks and premature deaths, so at least they can make an informed decision. So steroids come with risks. Ask yourself the question, are you really willing to put your body and your health on the line just to look a bit better? And the second point, and one of the main reasons I did this video, was that in the fitness industry, we need to develop a more sober view. There's a bit of a chicken and egg situation going on. A lot of the influencers that rise to fame, they have to find a way to stand out because there's so much competition from other influencers. As a result, they need to be more ripped and more muscular than the average person. Unfortunately though, physiques like Joe's get more engagement, and this is the problem. And actually, to be honest, some of you watching this video are to blame for that. Somebody puts up a picture where they're 15% body fat, which is perfectly healthy and lean by most standards. That will not get anywhere near the engagement as Joe putting up a picture where he's 7% and shredded. And because of that engagement, when it comes to money and brands wanting to work with you, who do you think they're going to pick? So the only way we're really going to change the rhetoric is by engaging and praising those with natural physiques who've chosen not to go down the steroid route. Now please hear me, this does not take anything away from a steroided physique. At the end of the day, I've been in enough bodybuilding gyms. A lot of the people on steroids work harder than most people, they eat cleaner and better than most people, and they have a top 1% of genetics. They work hard, I'm not taking anything away from them. But the person that squeezes the lemon naturally will never ever be able to attain the look or the strength or performance that somebody on steroids would. And that's why I say that us influencers and you guys that consume the content at home need to do more to recognize a naturally attainable physique. It's the only way we're going to fight against this steroid pandemic and protect the younger people. So let's be respectful, let's not let our biases get in the way and speculate about what it could or couldn't have been. Let's stick to the facts. Cool, don't forget to drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again soon.